Hey, are you ready to meet a candidate? Yeah, you are. What is Meet a Candidate is the question that was just on the screen. Well, I'm gonna answer that. It's a 30-minute interview show where I try to help you get to know a candidate. Now, I'm not a journalist. I don't know anything about politics or policy or most other P words for that matter. And most of us don't, honestly. So let me, Paxton, be your proxy, maybe the lens by which you see these candidates so you can make an informed decision. So I'm gonna ask everyone the same basic questions, and with that, I would like to welcome today's guest. Today, my guest is City Council candidate Joseph
Goralczyk.
Goralczyk. Thank you for the phonetic pronunciation. Don't want to mess that up. How are you doing today, bud?
I'm good, Paxton. Good to see you, bro.
All right, so you've carved out a nice life down here. You know, pretty relaxed. Lots of fun to be had. You know, it's a fun island. Why would you go and ruin all that by running for an office like this with such a soul-sucking, time-depleting position?
It's actually a question I've asked myself over the last couple of weeks. I will be the first to tell you I didn't admit it quite the amount of work it was going to be.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, it is like a full-time job.
Yeah.
Doesn't pay that well either. It really doesn't pay that well. But I've lived on Tybee for 16 years. I love this place.
Yeah.
I kind of have always joked it saved my life and ruined it at the same time. I was a shy little white kid when I moved here.
I think that's a lot of people.
Yeah. No, I was a shy little white kid when I moved here, and Island means a world to me. I've seen some things happen over the past couple of years. I've lost a lot of friends to certain situations. Not lively, but I've just seen some of the changes on the island over the last couple of years that I'd like to change.
That you sort of like personally
I would like
take
to
issue
affect.
with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how many council meetings have you watched or been aware of?
I mean, certainly since I started running, I've watched more. This year, the stuff that went down in April really kind of got my attention a lot more.
What was that?
Orange Crush.
Oh, gotcha.
The Orange Crush,
Okay.
and just some of the mishandling, and I feel like a lot of things got politicized where necessarily they didn't need to be politicized.
Sure.
Like we can just use common sense to run the island, and not everything has to be political.
Yeah.
We live in such a political nightmare with the rest of the world. Let's not let Tybee do that.
It is. There is a teamsmanship aspect to it that so many people bring in to such a micro level. Instead, that it's like party politics almost.
Yeah.
It's like,
and we don't do that.
It's
our community.
We're a tiny island.
Yeah.
Party politics shouldn't really enter into the conversation.
No,
I
I mean,
think.
maybe to a level we all have our ideals, but
I'm not going to dox your address or anything, but you live down in the thick of where
I live down on the dirty south end.
Yeah, exactly. And that's in any sort of event like Pirate Fest, Orange Crush, 4th of July.
Yeah,
you're down there at the thick of it.
Yeah.
So
and I have my whole life.
And
well, not my whole life, but my
your
whole experience
Tybee
on
life,
Tybee.
yeah.
And that's also part of what I wanted to affect. What affected me wanting to run was really not a lot of the South Enders. A lot of South Enders feel underrepresented on City Council. They really do. We don't feel like we get the attention that some of the. It's like the North End's the ends that cares, and we're just the drunken end.
Sure.
Which isn't necessarily untrue.
Right.
But
yeah, it
is. We about a quarter of the island is employed in the bar industry, the service industry, the restaurant industry, and they just feel underrepresented.
Yeah, and that's kind of eye-opening to me because you never think about it like that. But that end of the island is a bit marginalized.
A little bit.
In terms of representation, because most council representation is typically about like home ownership and people who live, mid to North Island.
It is. But I mean, even just in the residential areas, there's not a lot of represented. You don't have a lot of representation on council from the dirty south.
So before this, now I know you, but let's say someone doesn't know you. The things you've done for a living up until now, like Breezy.
On Tybee, I moved here in 2007, and I was actually working on the road with my father at the time when we moved here. But about 3 years after we moved here, 3 or 4 years after we moved here, we started Breezy, and that has been, that was kind of our little brass ring opportunity at the time. It's certainly there's motivation to run because we have been affected business-wise by some of the decisions that the past couple councils have decided.
But you bartended as well, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Well,
why do you think I'm running? That's really the whole reason I went on this.
Well, the reason I ask is because typically someone that's coming into a position, or running for a position like council or anything of that sort, they don't come in with a social acumen that most other people that say a bartender slash service industry driving a local cab company has. How do you think that that helps you in terms of, I don't know, just getting your constituency
Well,
together?
honestly, in a lot of the we have a lot of questionnaires we fill out. There's, I've tried to emphasize that I do think working in the industry, being a cab driver, being a bartender for the last 7 years,
Yeah.
I can deal with people. If I can deal with petulant children on a regular basis every night, I can probably deal with some professional people, people that actually know how to act up at the city hall.
Well, I mean, there's the aspect that people will act a little better than petulant drunks, but at the same time, the anger that people harbor for, it's the political armchair quarterback sort of thing, where no matter how well you're doing, whether you're in the cab, whether you're a bartender, or whether you're on the city council, someone out there thinks they can do it better than you, and they're going to bring the energy of, oh, why do you know what you're talking about? I know better.
All I can say to that is, I'm open-minded, and I don't pretend to know everything. If
Yeah.
That's important. That's really important with what we're doing right now. I've heard a lot of people ask the question, what do you feel about a politician that changes their mind? Well, better than I do about somebody that doesn't.
Yeah.
If you get good facts, if you hear something new, admitting you're wrong, goodness knows I've done it.
Yeah.
It's something you have to do. It's part of growing up. It's part of being a grown up.
Well, it's a rare thing, honestly, because typically people hold their hard line only because they don't want to seem like they've been made a fool of, or they're just unwilling to back off of something that they've held so intrinsically within themselves. And that's to the next question. That's sort of social media. It's a necessary evil, obviously, because the easiest way to get your ideas and your platform out there is posting it on your Facebooks and your Instagrams and your whatever. But the thing about social media is, and especially political social media, is the anger and the hatred that is brought to the comment section isn't necessarily the anger and the hatred brought to a face-to-face interaction with people that you are running.
I could not agree more. Yeah.
So with that, you'll find that people, even though they won't act necessarily that way in public, they still harbor those very idealistic teamsmanship feelings inside of themselves, and they're going to bring that towards into the interaction and from on the personal level. How do you plan on dealing with, because you have to be on social media, dealing with the endless comments section arguments that literally never lead to any sort of solutions?
You do have to be on social media, I agree, but I have strictly kept mine to Facebook. I'm not going to engage in just straight up troll toxic stuff. I'm not going to engage in that. If you got a question, I want to hear it. I've got my email out there. I've got
the inherent problem is, so the most fringe, angry people with the most angry takes and comments, their signal gets boosted because engagement happens to it, and that puts them to the top of the pile. So you're gonna have to. I just imagine you're gonna have to spend some time weeding through the deluge of just
there's been
nastiness.
There's been some moments, but it's mostly been like one-on-one. But I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not afraid of confrontation. I can deal with it. If you have some things, bring it on. I've got thick skin. If I didn't have thick skin, I wouldn't have any friends.
Sure.
And I certainly wouldn't be doing this. So bring it on.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
Does that, does the idea of that turn you off a little bit to just what you've experienced so far? Like, I'm sure since you've started running, there's probably been some comments that are just that will dishearten you.
I'll say this, just as far as what I've had to do on site, and I haven't even done as much as a lot of people have.
Yeah.
It is the trickiest thing I've done. This one-on-one stuff, I love this.
Yeah.
Even just being out in public, just talking to people coming up to, I love that. When you do get on, you get questions, you get weird stuff. It is a toxic environment.
It's too anonymous, I think, where people can just say
it
whatever
is. It's
they
too
want.
easy to sit there and just talk trash on somebody and just completely get away with it.
So I think you're in a unique position where you are on the streets a lot.
Yeah.
so you're able to speak personally to people. Have you noticed now that you've announced that you're running, that people are a little more will engage you a little bit more about policy sort of things, or has it
everywhere? Are you kidding?
Yeah, well, yeah, just
no. That's part of the full-time job aspect I was mentioning. It is constantly everywhere I go. Even Tybee Idol or Sunday night. I was really just there to see Tybee Idol, but it becomes a politicking event everywhere you go.
No matter what you do, it's going to be networking.
And you're at a 24-hour, 7 days a week job interview, and there's a part of that that's fun. And honestly, I've gotten around to this. You know me, I've gotten around this island so much, and that's pretty much what I was doing anyway. I just wasn't running for office at the time.
Yeah. Well, and now it's not how are you doing? It's what do you think about?
How do you feel about this? Yeah. How do you feel about sea turtles?
Well, they're cool. I love them.
They're great. I love them.
They're in the ocean, aren't they?
I'll get back to you. I'm going to write an essay on it next week on Facebook.
So now the next question is, what do you do for fun? And I kind of already know the answer. It's go out and hang out with people. But now has running taken that away from you, where you can't go out and just have a drink?
Oh, definitely can't just go out and have a drink on a regular basis. So I've got my few. I don't stay out as late as I used to. I definitely don't stay out as late as I used to, because it just gets me in trouble. But I have my spots where I feel safe. They're my people.
Yeah.
And we've gone through the policy. I was friends with them when we were doing it. When I was deciding to do it, they were either supported or not supportive. But they're my people, and that's kind of. I don't want to say I have a curfew of 9 o'clock, but most nights I'm home by 9 o'clock.
I mean, a self-imposed curfew probably wouldn't be a bad
idea. It is not, at least for election season. Once I get in, all bets are off, guys.
All bets are off, man. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Well, that's the only thing, because that's another thing. I mean, because part of being happy in work life and the things you do is having the work fun balance, and on a drinking island like ours,
absolutely,
most people's recreation is going out and hanging out and drinking. Another thing that happens when you go and hang out and drink is a bunch of people whose opinions matter not to you want to give after about 9 p.m.
Yeah.
They start handing you those opinions as if.
I'm perfectly cool with it.
Okay.
Like I'm me. I mean, you know me.
Yeah.
Everybody here knows me. I'm pretty well known on the island. I've had my past. That's cool. I'm cool with that. I represent a portion of the island that does that. And frankly, if you're not doing that, I think you're missing out on a really large, beautiful part of our community.
Well, I think you're missing out on most of the best part of the community.
It is a large part of it.
Because being on the street is
people that come here and say how much they love the place and want to change everything about it.
Well,
that's
another thing. So you're going to end up having to talk about this no matter who you talk to. But so the island is so unique and loved because the people that visit here, they go to places and they're like, oh wow, everyone is sort of equalized here, no matter doctor, lawyer, service industry, whatever. Yeah. But what makes the town unique and what people come back is when the service industry people get off work and go out and hang out. That's it. It's not because it's not because just some golfers down here. You don't want to sit next to him and talk to him all night.
No,
it's the interesting characters that we have down here.
Well, it really is, and I think a good example of that is when we have Hollywood out here. When we have, I think a lot of the more famous people that come out here really like, because that's another. We just don't care.
People
I'm more excited to see you in the bar than I am to see Adam Sandler.
Yeah,
in the bar.
Exactly.
Honestly, I really am.
Yeah, because I'm not as much of a hassle.
Yeah, I got nothing to say to Adam.
Yeah.
But that's part of what I love about this. Because I can go, I can go to the Legion and be the youngest guy there and still have a great time. I almost said bang your neighbor, screw your neighbor.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
But just stuff like that. That is one of the most unique aspects of Tybee is you can go anywhere, any age group.
Yeah.
I'm getting to the point where I'm right in the middle of a lot of it, but it's just.
Well, it's getting a little harder for the people who do work down here to live down here.
Yeah.
Because everything's becoming short-term vacation rentals, and I don't begrudge anyone for owning a house. You earn more money. It's fiscally sound to Airbnb or short-term vacation rental your place because you earn more money than you do making long-term rentals.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes it hard for the people who work in the service industry to be able to live down here, which in turn creates the community. So
it's the trickiest subject coming up. And
right.
I have lost, in the past 5 years, I've lost 2 apartments to short-term vacation.
So it went from long-term to short-term.
It went from long-term to short-term. Or it went to, my last one went from, my rent was about $1,800 to, if you want to stay, it's going to be $3,850. Like, well, that's not happening.
Hey,
even with
buddy.
a councilman salary, that ain't happening. So,
yeah,
you know, that is the major issue. But
so that's at the top of your pile. That's
the biggest reason I'm running.
Okay.
And it's not just me though. I've lost a lot of friends. When I said I lost a lot of friends, I've lost a lot of friends to Wilmington and Whitmarsh.
Yeah,
that's the new type. If you go over there, you go check out some of the bar. It's like Tybee was 8 years ago. Those are all my people. And it is, but it is the trickiest subject too. Because you said, I respect property rights.
Yeah,
you worked your ass off.
I don't want to take something.
No, you worked your ass off your whole life. You bought a house. You do what you want with it. But at the same time, the zoning has got down to control. There's no oversight. There's regulations. They just don't enforce it.
Yeah.
And that is the biggest thing. If we follow the regulations that are in place, we can still have that balance. It worked for 40, 50 years before that. This is not new.
Yeah.
And we need short-term vacation rentals. My business, my family's business depends on it.
Yeah.
Your bartending shifts, my bartending shifts depend on it. It's an important part of the island, but it's out of control. 40%, it's a 40% residential area, and it's too high. That's too high. It's about 15 points too high, in my opinion.
So if you are elected, what will be your strategy to pretend like you give a shit while you while you sit through an hour of a dissertation of water table info and sediment deposits under subterranean earth? I mean, let's just be honest with everyone and ourselves. Them city council meetings ain't sexy. They ain't fun.
They're not. You're right.
Okay.
Right. I've said
all of our hot topics. That's about 5 minutes of a 2-hour situation.
You have about, even a city council meeting, you have about maybe 20 good minutes, and then about 2.5 hours of God.
Yeah. And
water tables again.
Yeah, that's a slog.
It is a slog. If I'm lucky enough to get elected and people depend, you just got to put that effort in, man. I mean, I've always, when I was a kid, my sister and I, we were homeschooled, but she always said I had a talent for just staying awake through some of the worst. She said she'd be snoozing. I could go down, I could watch a documentary about Lucrezia Borgia, and I would make it through, and I'd absorb it all. And she would be asleep in 5 minutes. She's like, how the hell do you do it? Maybe that's just talent I have, but at the same time,
it might be the most important.
It is. No, it is. But at the same time, if they give you the credit enough to say we're going to let you do it, do it.
You got to take it seriously.
Yeah, you got to take it seriously. I mean, that was one of those, like, would you like be prepared and go through the agenda before your meeting? It's like, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I'm putting in this much effort. I guess I will. Why not?
Well, the effort of, like, I know there's an unspoken dress code for men at city council where you have to look like you just came from a bass tournament. Are you gonna?
No.
Are you
Man,
gonna follow that line?
No, I'm gonna. I was the most overdressed guy there the other night. I mean, I went to Goodwill, mind you, but I got slacks. I had sleeves on. Man, I got there and I was like, well, I was thinking I needed a tie. Hell.
No, you just need a Columbia shirt with a flap in the back.
Absolutely,
brother.
that is a perfect way. You look like I came from a bass tournament. I didn't think about that, but you're right. No, I was way overdressed. No.
Well, again, so if elected, and we'll close out on this, what would say be your top 3 like greatest hits? What 3? And you don't have to speak in length, but what 3 things are most important to you? Would you say?
I mean, overall, what's most important to me is trying to get the community the balance we need. And that sounds very political. That sounds very generic, but it is out of balance. And this STVR thing has been a huge
balance in terms of what the citizens want versus
to tourism.
Okay.
And I mean, that affects everything. It affects the industries we're in. It affects everything. I mean, to be honest, I don't know that I have 2 others that are more important to me.
Okay.
I mean, when I say I want to vote the way the locals need me to vote.
Sure.
But more than anything, I think getting the community the right balance in the community, and I think that's the most important thing.
Well, let me ask you this then. So,
you asked me about dogs on the beach.
No, I don't care. I don't care about dogs on the beach. Talking about balance. So we have an enforcement problem where you say, oh, we don't want trash on the beach, but it's really hard to enforce.
Yeah.
trash on the beach. So there's got to be a way to sort of nip it in the bud beforehand.
Well, that's another. I mean, that brings up another point of we have made so many regulations and so many rules and so many ordinances, and we do nothing to enforce them.
Right.
And not naming it, but I know there's what are they called? I'm blanking out. The code enforcement. They literally, I don't want to name any names again, but they've said, man, we just wear blue shirts and get paid overtime. We don't even have ticket books.
Yeah.
Good for them. They're friends of mine. I'm glad,
sure.
get your money.
But the thing is,
but you don't even have ticket books. What are you doing?
Yeah.
And you're just there to be seen, and they're literally just there to be seen. They are. That happens.
Yeah, get a job. Do whatever.
No, it's a great job for you, but it's like, get them a ticket book.
Yeah.
I don't know what the answer to that is.
And it seems like if they have enforced anything, it's more kind of directed towards locals, strangely.
It absolutely. And parking, all about parking.
If
you hit a yellow line, even if you got a decal, if you're on that yellow line for 10
parking,
seconds.
that's getting enforced, but
absolutely. Well, yeah. They do their job very well.
Well, let us know. We're gonna have to bleep that out. He's over here advertising other can.
I'll let him roll. That's cool. Don't worry.
All right. So let us know where you're at on social media, website, anything like that. Tell the people.
It's under Joseph Goralczyk on Facebook. That's my only social media right now. I have an email address at goralczyk3@gmail.com. That's G.
We'll put it up. We'll put it up on
there. GORALCZYK 3@gmail.com. And yeah, bring it on, guys. Now it's been fun. It's been real. It's been fun.
We'll see what happens from now until then.
Like I said, truth be told, the only reason I'm running is I finally made it on the Barcast.
And this was brought to you by From Behind the Barcast, the podcast for bartending, service industry, drinking in general. Joseph Goralczyk.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
It was good.
Thank you. See y'all in the next one.